Ever wondered how New Zealand, a land of stunning landscapes and rich indigenous culture, became part of the British Empire? The story isn't a simple one. It's a complex tale of treaties, misunderstandings, and immense pressure. Let's dive into how the British took control of Mbori land. Before Europeans arrived, New Zealand, or Aotearoa, was exclusively inhabited by Mbori, organized into various iwi or tribes, each with its own territory. Land wasn't just soil to them, it was a spiritual and ancestral connection, something you belonged to, not something you owned and sold like a commodity. This concept is called Tino Rangataratanga, which means absolute sovereignty and guardianship over their lands. Then, in the early 19th century, European whalers, traders, and missionaries began to arrive. At first, interactions were mostly about trade. Mbori were keen to acquire new technologies like muskets and metal tools, and they traded goods like timber and flax. Some land was sold, but these early deals were often fraught with misunderstandings. The British concept of permanent individual land ownership was completely alien to the Mbori collective view of land. The situation escalated as more British settlers arrived, hungry for land to farm. Tensions grew. To establish order and formalize its claim over the islands, the British government sent Captain William Hobson to negotiate a treaty with Mbori chiefs. This led to the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi in 1840. And this is where things get really controversial. The treaty was written in both English and Mbori, but the two versions said different things. The English version states that Mbori chiefs ceded sovereignty of their land to the British Crown. However, the Maori version used the word Kawanatanga for sovereignty, a term they understood as governance. They believed they were giving the British the right to govern and establish laws for settlers while they would retain Tino Rangataratanga, or their absolute authority over their lands, villages, and treasures. They thought it was a partnership, not a surrender. Almost immediately after the treaty was signed, the British colonial government began to act as if they had full control. They established a system where the Crown was the only legal buyer of Mbori land, a practice called preemption. This allowed the government to buy land from Mbori at very low prices and then sell it to settlers for a massive profit. Mbori quickly realized the deal wasn't what they thought it was. Resistance began to build. The colonial government, however, had its own agenda. They passed laws like the New Zealand Settlements Act in 1863, which allowed for the confiscation of land from any iwi deemed to be in rebellion against the Crown. This was a powerful tool used to punish Mbori resistance and acquire vast tracts of prime land. This led to the New Zealand Wars, a series of conflicts